Oh. Well, following the money, this is where it leads us. Thanks for taking time today, Denise, to speak with us. If a company wants to inject money into politics, how do they go about doing that?
In Montana, corporations are not allowed to give directly to a candidate. What they can, however, do is form a political action committee. They raise money through a PAC, and then they can give to Montana candidates. However, they can't give very much. Our limits are some of the lowest in the country. But there's other ways to influence lawmakers. They can go up and lobby the legislature.
Are corporate lobbyists paid?
Sure, by their corporation.
So, somebody is earning a salary to be in the halls every day speaking in the name of that corporation.
Right.
To legislators who are put there by citizens who can't afford to be there every day, so they elect people to be there every day
Right.
to speak for their best interests.
Right. It is hard to be up at the Helena Capitol all the time talking to lawmakers, but it's not hard for companies who have employed lobbyists. And that's not wrong. It's not sinister or bad. It's just how it is.
Ken,
Hey,
how are you?
doing?
Brad
Thanks
Van
for
Wyk.
coming.
Well, maybe you could just tell me a little bit about your experience.
I was active in energy issues before I ever got engaged really in the electoral arena. I was really around and watched in 1997 the whole deregulation of the electric industry in Montana, which turned out to be a huge disaster. And it just went through the legislature. Nobody who voted on it understood what it did, and even the people who proposed it really didn't see what it was going to do. That's where I started thinking about getting engaged in politics, because it was obvious to me a lot of the people in the legislature didn't understand at all what was happening and how the electric grid ran and all of that stuff.
What we're trying to figure out in this kind of series is maybe they have profit motives or something.
They're looking to protect their load. The price for the dams was about $1 billion. The coal plant was expensive. They built a gas plant that ended up being more expensive than they thought. And the problem that they see, they've spent all of this money on all of these things. And now along comes a disruptive technology, which disrupts their mechanisms for making money. I mean, if you think about it, you use their product without knowing the price, without having an alternative, and then getting a bill a month later. That's the world they're used to. And the world of people building their own little things and not buying it from us, it's just really disruptive to them.
After our conversation with the center down in Helena, we're realizing that you can't make incredibly huge contributions in Montana. And so a lot of it happens in lobbying.
The reality is, for a utility, the legislature is a cheap date. They can send up 2 or 3 lobbyists, which is much cheaper than their whole rate crew that comes in on a rate case. The legislature's here for 90 days. It's by and large people who don't have a clue what's going on. And so they play both defense and offense in the legislature.
Do you feel like corporate lobbyists might have an advantage because they're up there more often?
Oh, absolutely. Corporate lobbyists have a big advantage because they have a relationship built. The best way I can explain it to someone who hasn't been through it is it's like high school. Within that, it's all relationship. It's who you like, who you trust. These relationships are critical. Unless you know the legislator in your district, you're not going to have a relationship. You're going to be able to have an exchange. People who are lobbying full time have relationships, and good lobbyists, and let me assure you, whether you like the lobbyists from these companies or not, they are good lobbyists. They definitely have the advantage. They know the people, and I'll tell you the other thing they know that you don't think much about is they know the staff. They know the people who've got their bills, and so they make sure, can I give you any more information? Do you need anything else? And they spend a lot of time building those relationships.
So we followed the money, and what did we find? Sure, a utility might make a contribution as an investment so they can get the attention of a certain legislator, but really what they do with their money is they build a well-oiled machine of lobbyists to protect the status quo. So this is what we need to figure out now. How do we change the status quo? How do we make sure that as we move into the future, we do it with your interests in mind? Let's figure that part out.